Good morning, third grade. Coming to you from the third grade classroom. It is Wednesday, April 22nd. We're going to go ahead and get started today with our pledge and our prayer. So if you want to join me in the pledge, turn the computer around. All right. Hand over heart. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, if you want to join me in prayer, prayer hands, prayer eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another glorious day. Thank you for waking us up so that we can enjoy this day. And I pray, dear Lord, that again, as you give us this beautiful weather, that we are able to go out and enjoy it with our family. Dear Lord, just help us to appreciate this time that you have given us to just form those bonds and traditions, God, and help us just to love one another and to seek refuge in you and seek your word out, God. Just help us to come to you in prayer each and every day and to communicate. Forgive us of our sins, dear Lord. And just please, as we go out into this world, that we just continue to show and express kindness and love and patience like you do with us, God. Help us to be respectful and obedient, God. And just help us to have a great, great Wednesday. These things we ask in your name. Amen. Okay, so yesterday we started a new Bible study. We started studying about Esther. And so, real quickly, just kind of a little review there of Esther. If you remember that I read about that the king, the Persian king, Ahasuerus had thrown a big, elaborate party in his kingdom and had invited like all of these royal family and noble to come and to feast. And remember that it lasted for 180 days, almost 6 months. This party lasted in the celebration. And then when it was over, he decided to have just a personal party for the people of Shushan. Okay, and that lasted for 7 days. He just had a party for those people because they had helped make this big elaborate feast for all of the nobles and the royals for, to show his appreciation. And so then on the seventh day, remember on the seventh day and the last day of the feast, he had asked his wife, the queen, Vashti, to come. And he was just so proud of his queen because she was so just like beautiful, and he wanted to come and show her off, like in front of his friends and in front of all of these nobles. Well, she did not want any part of that. She was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not coming. Well, back in that day, remember Memucan said to the king, she has disobeyed you and she's being disrespectful, and that just looks bad because back in that day, the wives submitted to their husbands and they did whatever they told them to do, and she's being disobedient, refusing to go. And they tell him, you need to go and you need to find you a new wife. And so they go in search, remember, of the most beautiful women. And they find this young Jewish girl, remember Esther. And remember, though her cousin Mordecai did not want her to share with them that she was Jewish, because they would just think that it would be difficult for her there and everything, and she would be treated differently. So he wanted her to keep that a secret. So so that's kind of where we left off there. And remember, I said that this was probably the most important beauty pageant ever, because they're looking for all these beautiful women and trying to find the next queen. So we get to our next story, okay? Esther in the palace. So living in the beautiful palace was much different for Esther than the simple life to which she was accustomed. In her home, she did her own work, but in the palace, she had 7 servant girls to wait on her. She treated these servant girls kindly and became their friend. As a believer in the true God, she knew that she should not be proud and selfish. Perhaps this attitude endeared her to Hegai, the officer who was in charge of all the young women who were candidates to be the next queen. Among all the other beautiful young girls, Esther stood out. There was just something different about her. Though all of the young women were beautiful, Esther had something about her that they did not have. She had an inner beauty. Her faith in God gave her a radiance and a charm that the other girls did not have. So she quickly became the favorite of Haggai, who was the officer in charge. He gave Esther and her maidens the best place in the house, and he also showed her many other kindnesses as well. The young ladies who were candidates to be the next queen had to prepare themselves very carefully before being presented to King Ahasuerus. For 6 months, they treated themselves with oil of myrrh to make their skin soft and beautiful. Then for 6 more months, they used sweet perfumes and other cosmetics to add to their charm, makeup. Probably many of these girls became self-centered and conceited as they thought mainly about their own beauty for an entire year. For an entire year, they just worked on making up themselves. So one by one, each young girl was called to go before the king. When it was a young girl's turn to go, she could ask for anything she desired to make her more attractive to the king. Esther did not ask for anything other than what Haggai advised. She showed a submissive spirit, and she was willing to accept guidance from others. Her simplicity allowed her own beauty to be magnified and providing a striking contrast to the lavish decoration of the other young girls. In 1 Peter 3:4, the Word of God tells us that a woman's most precious ornament is a meek and quiet spirit. Esther certainly had that. So Esther's heart must have been pounding when her turn came to go before the king. As King Ahasuerus looked at her, the king was struck by her great beauty. But that was not all. He noticed that there was something different about Esther, something that set her apart from all the other girls he had seen. She had inner charm and beauty as well as outward beauty. He liked that. King Ahasuerus preferred her immediately above all the other young women who had appeared before him. So therefore he chose Esther to be his wife and the queen of the Persian Empire. So King Ahasuerus planned an elaborate coronation ceremony. He invited all his princes and all his servants to a great feast to celebrate Esther's coronation as queen. What an honor it was for Esther when King Ahasuerus placed the royal crown upon her head. She was now the queen of the Persian Empire, which ruled over the world. The king was in such a happy mood that he gave gifts to his officers and even reduced their taxes to celebrate the crowning of his new queen. God allowed this Jewish girl to be chosen over all the other young girls of the kingdom, for God had a very special plan for Esther. Though Esther did not know God's plan, God knew it very well. Sometimes we do not understand the things that happen to us. We may be confused, troubled, or made glad by the events in our life, but we need to trust God, for He is working out a beautiful plan for our lives. A great calamity was coming in Esther's life that she did not know about that happy day when she was crowned queen over the Persian Empire, but God knew. God can turn calamities into blessings. We read of Israel, our God turned the curse into a blessing, Nehemiah 13:2. Yes, God is able to do great things. Our part is to trust Him and obey Him in good times and in bad times, so that when calamities come, we can continue to trust God. Paul tells us, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28. Okay. It's a great lesson getting started with Esther and how she becomes the queen. Okay, so in math today, it's Wednesday, so that means that it's quiz day. Whoop, whoop. Math quiz. Okay, so you have math quiz 15 that you are doing today. Let me see. Anything that we need to go over? Quiz 15. Okay, so you're just writing the products. Number 1, A through L, you're just writing the products. Number 2, A through I, you're writing the quotients. 3, find the fractional part of each whole number. And I'm just going to tell you, do not forget, 2 of those are going to have a fraction as part of the answer. Okay, there's your hint. Number 4, remember, reduce to the lowest terms, as low as it will go. And then number 5, you are just rounding to the nearest whole dollar. Okay? Oh my gosh, very easy. I expect 17 100s. I know you can do this. Then in math, you have math page 305, 306 as extra practice today. So let's see. Number 1A. So Jacob and Elijah each have 32 marbles. Luke has 1/4 as many as both of them. So how many do the 3 boys have all together? Okay, so I see this being a problem that we're going to need to work out. Okay, so let me go up here. Okay, so Jacob and Elijah, they each have 32. Luke has 1/4 as both of them. How many do they have? So if Jacob and Elijah each have 32. Okay, first I need to do that. So I'm going to do 32 times 2, or you could do 32 plus 32. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. So 64. Okay? So, but then Luke has 1/4 as many as both of them. So I'm going to take the 64. And it says that he has 1/4. So I'm going to divide that then by my denominator, which is 4. 4 will go into 6, 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. You get 2. Bring down your 4. 4 will go into 24. How many times? 6. And 6 times 4 is 24. We have 0. Okay? But now I want to know how much they have all together. So this is how much Jacob and Elijah have together. This is how much then Luke has. So I'm going to take the 64 and I'm going to add 16, this answer. 6 plus 4 is 10, carry my 1, 1 and 6 is 7, so 80. So they have, your answer is going to be, don't forget your label, since it is a story problem, 80 marbles, okay? All right, so then let's look at B. Mr. Wheeler drove 30 miles on Monday, twice as far on Tuesday as on Monday, and 3 times as far on Wednesday as on Monday. So how many miles did he drive? Okay, so I'm going to figure out how many he drove on Tuesday first. So if he drove 30 miles on Monday, twice as far on Tuesday. So I'm going to multiply 30 times 2 first. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. So he drove 60 miles then on Tuesday. And then he went 3 times as far on Wednesday as on Monday. So if he went 30 on Monday, but 3 times as far on Wednesday, I'm going to do 30 times 3. This is Monday. He drove 3 times as much on Wednesday. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 3 is 9. So I get 90. Now, how many miles did they drive on all 3 days? So what are you going to need to do to that? We're going to have to add. So I'm going to add 60, 90, and then 30. So add that up. Get 0, 99, so 180. So 180 miles. Don't forget your label on that one. So 180 miles. Okay? So that is that one. Number 2, you're just finding the average, adding up all the numbers, taking your sum and dividing it by the number of add-ins. Number 3 is write the product, check your work. Remember what I showed you. I'm not going to work out the whole problem. I'm just going to show you. Remember to check it. We've got our factors, 49 times 62. Multiply that first, get your product. And then to check it, you just reverse the position of the factors. So now 62 will be on top. You'll write that out beside it. times 49 and solve it. And these should be the same products. They should be the same answers if you did it right. Okay? And then number 4, solve and check the equation. Number 5, measure the sides of each shape to find the perimeter. Use your centimeter side. So using a ruler. If you have a ruler at home, if you don't, you can FaceTime me tomorrow and I'll give you what the measurements are. If you don't have a ruler, but you're using the centimeter side on both of those shapes. Number 6, filling in the blanks with greater than, less than, or equal to. You're going to have to use a ruler again on number 7 to draw a 14 centimeter line, a 9 centimeter line, and then how much longer is the first line than the second line. You're going to subtract. Number 8, follow the signs. And number 9, write the fractional parts on those. Okay, so that's all you're doing on that. If you need any help with any of that, just FaceTime me, text me, or call me. But again, like on page 306, if you've got a ruler at home, you're going to need your ruler. Okay, so that's it for math today. Then let's see. In language. Okay, so in language today, we are just doing some review. So I'm going to ask you review on dictionary skills. What do we call the words that the dictionary tells us about? Like if I told you, go look up the word enormous in the dictionary, what do we call that word? Because it's not just word. We call those entry words. Okay, this is a little review. What do we call the words at the top of each dictionary page that helps us find the entry words? Remember I told you it tells you the first word on the page and the last word on that page. Do you remember? Guide words. And then what is the part of the entry that tells us what job the word has in a sentence? Like if it's going to be a noun, a verb, an adjective, an adverb, a conjunction, what is that called? Part of speech. Okay, good. What do we call the part of an entry that tells us how to say the word correctly? Do you know? We call that pronunciation. What part of the entry gives an example of how to use the word, like how we can use it? We call that sample sentence. And then what is the part of the entry that tells us what the word means? Definition. Okay, definition. That's the definition. Good. Okay, and so today I have some names. Let me write this up on the board. We have Hallie's. We have eclipse. I'm going to put some lines up here. We're going to put eclipse. Lexels. McNaught. No, these are some funny words. McNaught. And then we have Hakutaki. Hakutaki. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. Okay, these are all names of comets, okay? So we're going to put the names of these comets in alphabetical order. You know, a comet is a ball of ice and dust that orbits the sun. And its tail is made up of gas and dust. Some comets pass the Earth once every 1,000 years, but others pass more often. And a comet is an exciting and a beautiful thing to see in the sky. Like it just really is when you see one. But if I were putting these words in alphabetical order, what would I put down first? So remember, we're looking, this is just a review, looking at the first letter, what would be first? If you said eclipse, that would be correct, okay? What would be second? Okay, if you said Hallie's, that's correct. What would be third? If you said the Hakutaki, That would be third. What would be fourth? If you said Lexels, that would be correct. And what would be last? McNaught. And these are all really legit comments. These are the names of comments. Okay, so today in language, you are doing page 174, 175. Oh, let me get a page. Oh, let me get my book. Okay, so page 174. All you're doing on the top of page 174, up at the top, is a review. These are entries in a dictionary page. You are putting them in alphabetical order, each list. So list number 1, you'll number those words 1 through 5. List 2, you'll number those 1 through 5, and then list 3, 1 through 5. So you're putting them in alphabetical order. Think B, mark the oval beside the set of guide words that each entry word would come between. And then down at the bottom, look up these words in the dictionary and write the first definition given. So number 1 is depot, number 2 is parch, and number 3 is buzzard. If you don't have a dictionary at home, which I know some of you don't, and I'm going to go ahead, you know what, I'm going to look these words up for you. I'm going to write it up here. So those of you that don't have a dictionary at home, you don't have to do, you can follow along up here. Those of you that do have dictionaries at home, look these words up on your own. This is good practice looking up words. This is a skill that you need to know. So on number 1, the word is depot. Okay, is depot. Okay, for depot, the definition is a railroad or bus station. A railroad or bus station. Okay, a railroad or bus station. That's the definition for depot. Okay, number 2, let's see, what do you have? You have parch. Okay, let me see what the definition. I'm going to go over here to my P's because I know it's in alphabetical order. And I'm going to look up parch. Okay, here we go. Found it. Okay, parch means, so number 2, parch. Parch means to make or become very dry. Like in a sentence, a constant south wind parched the soil. That means it made it dry. So parch means to make or become very dry. So to make or become very dry. Okay, so that's the definition for parch, to make or become very dry. Okay, and then the last word that you have is buzzard. Buzzard, I think you all already know what a buzzard is, but I will tell you what the first definition is in the dictionary for buzzard is a vulture. So a buzzard is just a vulture. Scary looking bird. Okay, so that's all a buzzard is. So number 1, depot is a railroad or bus station. Number 2, parch, to make or become very dry. And number 3, buzzard is a vulture. Okay, so just look those up in a children's dictionary. So there's that. All right, so I hope you had on that one. Then on page 175, you are going through there, you're reading those sentences, use proofreader's marks to help you make any corrections in spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. So remember, it showed you for an insert, for spelling, you write SP. If the letter should be lowercase, you write LC. If you need to delete, you make that mark. And if you need to capitalize, it's 3 lines under the word. So that's what you're doing on 1 through 10, is correcting those sentences using proofreader's marks. And then think B is fill in each blank with the correct form of the word in parentheses. So like number 1, I cannot find my glass this morning. You're supposed to make this, I cannot find my glasses this morning. I cannot find my glasses this morning. Number 2, my dog, Blackie, is a Scottish Terrier. Well, that just stays my dog. It's not my dog's. It's my dog, Blackie, is a Scottish Terrier. Number 3, Aunt Tammy made 2 sandwich for lunch. You know that should be sandwiches, but how do you make it sandwiches? What are you going to add to it to make it plural? Number 4, Dad used 5 match to start the campfire. Well, you know that match has to be more than 1, so what are you going to add to it to make it plural? Number 5, there was only 1 truck left in the garage. That's correct the way it is. It's just going to stay truck. 6, the church we attend is on this street. That one's correct too. It's not going to be the churches we attend. It's going to be just the church, so it'll stay the way that it is. And then 7, our school has 2 buses. Well, you know that needs to be plural, so it's going to be buses. So what are you going to add to bus to make it plural? Okay, so that's what you're doing on language today, 174, 175. Hopefully that helped. Then in writing today, oh my gosh, and I love the writing that you've been sharing with me. I've had some people share to me about their pet, and then I had people share about me about a place yesterday. I have read some really, really good poems. Those are so much fun when you share those with me. So today, you are supposed to pick an activity and write a poem. So today you're supposed to pick one of your favorite activities or an activity that you really like. So I wrote about swimming. I love to go swimming, as I know a lot of you do too. So you know you're going to do your web organizer. So I put swimming in the middle of my web organizer. And then I just stopped and I thought about what are some things that I could say about swimming. That I know when I swim, I like to splash and kick and dive. I love to swim. The water is blue, and I usually go in a pool. Okay, it can be a lake or, an ocean if I'm lucky. And so then I took that and using my poetry rules, I came up with this poem. Okay, remember it starts with capital letters. It has rhyming words and they're written in complete sentences or phrases. So I put swimming, swimming, swimming. So that would be a phrase. It's not a complete sentence. Swimming, swimming, swimming. That is what I do. If you want to learn to swim, come see me in the pool. Splashing, kicking, diving in the watery blue. I love swimming and hope that you do too. All right, so that is my poetry poem that I came up with about swimming. Okay, so maybe your activity is hiking or camping or playing football or gymnastics or running, kicking, just what is one of your favorite activities that you like. And so you're going to write a poem about it, just applying those poetry rules. All right, and so that is what you are working on in writing today. I love writing poetry. I love the poems that you guys have shared with me. They're so good. I've read about dogs and I've read about the pool, and it's just been great. Okay, so today in history, the first thing that you have is Map Skills 28. So in your Map Skills book, you are going to go to Map Skills 28. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so up at the top, you are labeling landforms. So you're going to label in the white boxes, you're going to put the letters over here. So like A is desert, you would find the desert and label it over here. B, island. C, lake. D, oasis. E, peninsula. F, volcano. And G, waterfall. So you're just taking the letters and you're putting the letters in the white boxes. You're labeling them. Then down at the bottom, you're matching definitions. So, a hill, a mountain, a plain, a river, a valley, and a volcano. Okay, so you're just drawing lines from the name of the landform to the definition of what it is. If you need help with that tomorrow, FaceTime me, call me, or text me, whatever. I'll be hanging out here. Just let me know if you have trouble finding those, okay, or if you need some reminders. So that's what you're going to do first. And then in our history books, we're going to be reading. Many boys wanted to grow up to be pilots when John Glenn and Neil Armstrong were young. Their dreams took them farther than either one of them ever thought they would go, all the way to outer space. Okay, so starting on page 422 of your history books. 422. Okay, so we're going to start reading about John Glenn and Neil Armstrong. Okay, of course we have to do what we do. How old were they when they passed away? Oh, so John Glenn, he just recently, not very long ago. So remember what we do. He died in 2016, was born in 1921. So how old was he? We'll subtract that. Can't do 1, 10. That becomes, okay, 11, 9. Ooh, he's 95. Ooh, he's a good age. 95. He lived for a long time. He just recently, if this is 2020, what is that, 4 years ago that he just passed away? Okay, and then, so that's John Glenn. Neil Armstrong, let's see about him. So he passed away in 2012, was born in 1930. So we get to 2. Can't do. 82. 82. He looks like a really good age too. So there's a picture of John Glenn and Neil Armstrong. All right, good. So we're going to start some new reading. All right, so you are going to start reading on page 423. As you're reading page 423, where it's talking about growing up, what did, while you are young, you may not know what you're going to do as an adult, okay? Some of you may already have an idea of what you'd like to do or what you'd like to think, what you'd like to be when you grow up, but some people just have no clue. Learning all you can about things that interest you as a child, though, may help you on your job someday if you know what you want to be when you grow up. Start learning these things now and start studying up in them and reading them. So this asks, like, as you're reading that about, we're starting with John Glenn. What did John love doing as a boy? And what he enjoyed doing as a boy helped him later on in life of what he was to become later on in his adult. So when you read this, you're going to know what I'm talking about. So our important words that we have down there at the bottom, we have astronaut, important names, John Glenn, Neil Armstrong, and Alan Shepard. Okay. Then on page 424, what caused, as you are reading this, I want you to think about these questions in your mind, these discussion questions. What caused John Glenn to enlist in the Navy? There's a specific reason why he enlisted in the Navy. In what two wars did John Glenn serve? Okay, he was in 2 different wars. And as a test pilot, how fast did he fly across the United States? This is interesting. So here's a little bonus fact. That means this is not in your book. I'm just sharing this with you. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, the USS Arizona battleship was bombed. The ship was damaged so badly that it sank. So over 1,000 men aboard died. The USS Arizona Memorial was built over the spot where the sunken ship lies in the harbor. Okay, so that is one of the United States landmarks. So we have some important places down here. Houston, Texas is the home of NASA, yeah. And then Cape Canaveral, Florida, a place where rockets and spacecrafts are launched. So that's showing you down there at the bottom of page 424. All right, on page 425, your last page that you're reading today. As you are reading, be able to think of these discussion questions. How many men were chosen to be the first astronauts? How many men? What was John Glenn selected to do? And what looked as if it might fail when the Friendship 7 re entered the Earth's atmosphere? Okay. Bonus fact, that means it's not in your book. I'm sharing something special with you. John Glenn ate the first meal in space. He was the first astronaut to eat the first meal in space. John Glenn was. And do you know what he ate? No, it wasn't a Big Mac. No, it wasn't Chick-fil-A. No, it wasn't a steak. It was applesauce. He had applesauce. That was his first meal in space. There you go. A little bonus fact for you today. All right. Now, moving on. So nothing to complete in that book. And so moving on with health today, our final subject. So I love that we've been discussing and talking about safety. You've been reading about safety. It's good to be safe while you are outside. This is perfect that we're studying about this right now with the weather being as warm as it is. I hope everybody's getting outside and you are enjoying it, but you are being safe and cautious and aware. But it's also good to be safe inside. So think about your home as you are reading the pages in health today. So it looks like we are starting on the bottom of page 112. So let's see, 112, 116. Okay, so on the bottom of page 112. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're talking about home safety. You already did the comprehension check yesterday, so we're doing home safety. So as you are reading about home safety, think about these questions. When are more accidents likely to happen? When are they more likely to happen? Where do most accidents happen? What is the most common cause of serious injuries? Name some things that may cause falls. We're talking about at home, inside your house. What are some things that can cause falls? And what else might cause someone to fall at home? Okay, what is just something else that maybe is not listed in the book? Okay. Then, oh, good. Getting this time of weather too. Weather safety. Weather safety on page 113. What is dangerous about a thunderstorm? Why are thunderstorms so dangerous? How far away from a storm can lightning strike? And what is the safest place at home to be during a tornado? And I love, Psalms 56:3. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. So whenever the weather is getting bad and you're feeling scared or frightened, I know that weather scares a lot of people. I have a sister, oh my gosh, like it can just start raining hard or thundering and lightning, and she's got a backpack ready to, go to the cellar or to the basement or go hide. I mean, that's all it has to do, and she freaks out. So she's really scared of weather, and a lot of people are. It's understandable. Um, so a little enrichment activity that you might want to do, and I'm just going to throw this out there, is like write about some important safety tips for the type of dangerous weather most common for our area. Well, tornado alley, like tornadoes, are really popular for our area and everything. Like what are some things that you need to do to prepare for that? And okay, so thinking about that, then on page 114, fire safety. So moving on from weather, we're going to go to fire safety. What causes, so as you're reading this, to think about what causes most fires. This is true. What does your family need in case of a fire? I hope you have one of these. If you don't have one of these, you need to get one of these. Okay? Because, school, we have a fire drill, safety in here. Oh, I got to see a video of some kids practicing a fire drill at home. This is good. So down at the bottom on your think about it, fire safety, discuss your escape plan with your family and write and draw your plan. I love this. So talk to mom and dad and everything. You might already have a plan in place, and if you do, just write about it, draw a picture. But if you don't, this is a really, really good time. Mom and dad to sit down with your kids and stuff. And if there is a fire and you can't get to, what should you do? You know, you need to have a meeting spot and everything. So, I really think this is really, really good and stuff to talk about. This is a good time and come up with that plan. And then on page 115, what 3 words must you remember if your clothing catches fire? Hmm, hmm, hmm. And there's my hand. And what does fire need in order to burn? Okay, that's all I'm going to give you on that one. Okay, so down there on page 115, it's showing you. Okay. Oh, and then let's see, we're going to, page 116. And then on page 116, in a fire, up at the top, in a fire, if a closed door feels warm, what should you do to get out of the building? This is really good. So, like if you're at home, and this is something really great to discuss with your parents and everything, you know, fire safety, read all of those up there. Um, and then down at the bottom, you have a comprehension check, 1 through 8 is true and false. And then after it, though, it says write the word true or false in each blank. Okay, yeah. So you're going to do that and everything. Just read those sentences, go back and do true and false. Now, comprehension checks, you guys know that, you do this because it helps you prepare for a test or quizzes. That a lot of these, this is where your test and quizzes come from, are these questions on your comprehension checks. So spend some time and go back. If you don't remember if it's true or false, go back and it's the underlined words. Does the words that are underlined in each of those make the sentence true or false? Okay, so and that ends health today. So a pretty busy day and everything. If you have any questions about anything, concerns, comments, whatever, I'm here. FaceTime me, call me, text me, anything at all. Okay, I would love to help you. Miss you guys. You're doing a great job. I love hearing from the ones that reach out to me and stuff. And I miss you guys so incredibly much. I love you and everything. Go out, make it a really, really great day, and get out and enjoy the sunshine because Miss Saxon knows she was. All right. See you tomorrow.